here.
Live.
Go up here to the live video. Take that.
What?
Oh, okay. You got it. So we're on then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody hear me okay? Just double check and make sure everybody can hear. If you type into chat if you can hear us, okay. Okay, well, that'll work. So I can go ahead and edit this out later. So hello everybody, this is, you're watching 30 Minutes with Creation Liberty. This is going to be show number 1, August 1st, 2011. My name is Chris Johnson. I'm the founder of Creation Liberty Evangelism, and our ministry's purpose is to win the lost to Christ and present the truth of science and God's Word. We hold without apology to the position that God's Word is literally true and scientifically accurate, and that evolution is not just a dumb theory, folks. It's one of the most dangerous and destructive religions in the history of mankind. And today I am joined by my wife, Lorraine. Say hello, Lorraine. This is my wife and my producer, Lorraine. So she's going to be bringing, anything you guys put in the chat, you have questions and comments, she's going to be sending them that my way in chat. And also, my sister Tanya is in the background. She's going to be running admin on the chat room, making sure everything stays clean and mature and comfortable for everybody. So I'm excited to be here. Lorraine's excited to be here too. That's what the nod's for, I guess. So a couple of quick updates and then we'll get to some of the questions and comments. If we don't have any questions and comments in the chat room today, I'll probably just go on to talk about some other things we've been working on the website, some new information that we've been researching. And but number one, in case anybody's watching from Ustream and not watching directly from the website, I don't think there's anybody like that on here today, but just in case there are, if you go to creationliberty.com and click on the link that says podcast, you'll be able to join in the live chat here. Also, a lot of people were asking, especially before we started here, about the Facebook group going down. The research that I did on the issue, there was a lot of people all at once that had this problem, where a lot of Facebook groups went down. Some people, one of the ladies I saw posting, she had 5 years. Their Facebook group,
Wow.
They had 6,600 contacts in there, and it got dropped. And I know full well nobody's going to get that stuff back. So at least it happened early on with us, so that way we didn't have a big detriment. And so basically we started a fan page instead.
Yeah, and that's a lot better. So.
Yeah, well, at least that's what we've been told.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
so.
true, but some of our volunteers that have been helping us with social media have told us that it's going to be more resistant to any of some problems like atheists that like, well, we just don't like what you guys teach, and then report us just because they don't like it. That kind of thing is going to be prevented with a fan page. So I think we'll have a lot more benefits. And if you want to get to that fan page and join in on that, I changed the link. If you go to the up at the top of the web page that you're viewing the cast from, you can see where it says join us Facebook. That Facebook link will take you to our fan page, and you can get involved that way. And then one more thing, I forgot to bring the DVD with me. I totally forgot to bring that down. We have our Seminar 3 DVD on dinosaurs in the Bible. That was probably our most requested DVD. When we were traveling and speaking at all these churches, we had lots of people wanting to hear more about dinosaurs. A lot of people, because the
Who doesn't love dinosaurs?
Yes, exactly. And then of course evolutionists, they want to use the dinosaurs to try to say, oh well, this proves evolution, and it absolutely does not. That DVD, I guarantee, will absolutely destroy the evolution theory just by itself. So the whole purpose of that is to try to win the lost to Christ and show them, hey, the evidence is here. The Bible is true. God's Word is actually true when it comes to science, when it comes to history. And so if you want to get that, it's on sale, 20% off until this Thursday. So if you want to get that, you can get it cheap. And that is at our Creation Liberty store, which is over on the link on the left-hand side of the page. And that's a great store.
Yes,
I like that store. Okay. Well, anyhow, I think that's all the the updates I had. If you want to get your question, and this is a general thing we'll do every week, if you want to get your question onto the podcast, the best way to do it is state your name, where you're from. If you say, hey, my name's John, I'm from New York, here's my question, and then that will take priority on what our producer sends over. So What are we looking at right now?
Well, someone says your video froze, but other than that, we haven't really had any questions or anything.
Okay.
Oh, well, Manster. It's his videos.
Well, the video, if the video freezes, either you can refresh the page or you can go on. There's a little curvy loop button on the right-hand side of the U-turn. Well, it's like a U-turn button or something like that. You can press that. It refreshes the stream in case there's any connection problems. That'll help you out. But since we don't have any questions right now, and I do appreciate everybody tuning in that is in here. I know we only have a few people this time. That's because I didn't really widely advertise this to the atheist community. We have a huge amount of atheist followers on YouTube that I can announce this to. I just didn't want to do it this first time because we're kind of working out the kinks. I spent all week this week, and Lorraine knows, she can tell you, that I spent all the spare time I had to work on getting this stream live. I've never done anything like this before. We've never done anything like this before. And so it's a new experience for us. But we're really enjoying it. This is actually kind of fun now. So I think the first thing we'll discuss, there was a new part of the question-answer section on our website that I posted this week. On why does the Bible mention unicorns, which was very interesting. Could you tell them about your reaction when I first mentioned this to you, when I said the Bible talks about unicorns?
I think I came up with every joke I could.
about the fantasy of, what is the stupidity that you're talking about unicorns in the Bible? This is ridiculous. But it's
a fake out, but it just refers basically to the Latin name of the rhinoceros. So it's it is interesting. It
is very interesting. And the thing is, the reason I wanted to put this on the website is because I have heard numerous times on not just places like YouTube, just in general, you find you can look up atheist websites and look up the word unicorn, and they will have some sort of section on there attacking the Bible because the Bible mentions unicorns, and that's just it's a fictitious creature.
Oh, it's funny because that was the first time I'd ever heard of it.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
A
lot of Christians still are not aware of that, and it's okay because a lot of the information revolution that's coming out they don't always provide that information. You have to go back into history and look at where these terms came from. So if you go to I'm reading it right here off of Noah Webster's American Dictionary of the English Language. This is his 1828 version. And if you go look up a 17th century dictionary or an 18th century dictionary, something like that, as well as Noah Webster's 1828, you're going to find the definition of unicorn, and it says an animal with one horn, the monoceros. This name is often applied to the rhinoceros, and this makes sense because I think it's the Latin, unicorn means one horn, which is very interesting because that applies to the rhinoceros. So, and there's places today. I mean, people still refer to the rhinoceros as the unicorn today, and that is there's a book here that I referenced to on the website. It says the book's called "The Return of the Unicorns: The Natural History and Conservation of the Greater One-Horned Rhinoceros." So very interesting that applies to that. So now, of course, there is some discrepancy in the Christian community because of Deuteronomy 33:17. It's very interesting. If you look this up, I'll quote this from the King James. It says, "His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorns." It says, "With them he shall push his people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh." So, in essence, what you have here is it's describing Ephraim as being 10 times larger than Manasseh, and I find that kind of interesting because
and those are cities, right?
Or
tribes.
Well, it's the people.
Okay.
It can be the names of cities too, and Ephraim I think is a city. I don't want people to quote me on that, but I think that is accurate. I'm making sure of that. Okay, but anyway, the point is that the Ephraim are supposed to be 10 times larger than Manasseh. That's the purpose. And so here, if you have only a one horn on a rhinoceros, it wouldn't technically make sense about that. But if you go to the two-horned rhinoceros, that means, and rhinoceros, by the way, does mean, I think it means nose horn, if I look that up properly. And if somebody finds out differently, correct me on that one, and I'll make sure I correct that next time. I'm always happy if we have any discrepancies on things in one show. The next show we come out with next Monday, we'll go ahead and make those corrections at the beginning. And so when it's talking about how one is going to be 10 times larger than the other, well, if you look at the rhinoceros horn, you have one large one and you have one small one. And that's going to make sense in Deuteronomy 33 when it talks about how between the Ephraim and Manasseh, so that fits in perfectly with that. Now there is another problem that I've seen on some creation websites, and this is one of the primary reasons I put this in here, aside from that I've heard a lot of people get confusion about the unicorn mentioned in the King James, is that some Christian websites and some creation websites actually unfortunately, will put down that the King James has an error here, calling it a unicorn, when in Deuteronomy 33:17 it's actually referring to the rhinoceros, the two-horned rhinoceros, because they say unicorn means one horn. Well, just because it means one horn, and you might have a variation of a two-horned rhinoceros, this does not mean that there's an error in the King James Bible. That's ridiculous. And I point out, if you go and check out the Q&A section on our website with the unicorns, I show an example of the narwhal, which is interesting. I think I was sharing.
Don't be scared. It is a kind of creepy picture.
There's a creepy picture. There's a little blood on there, but they hunt these guys. Oh. I mean, and they make thousands of dollars from their horns, and that's the way they survive out there, because there's not a whole lot of jobs or anything up in areas of Alaska and places like that where you find those.
To each their own, I guess. I don't like it, but.
Okay, well, you don't have to go hunt whales.
No, I don't.
Yeah. That's okay. But anyway, here's the point. The narwhal, and that's something I had actually mentioned that name, and people thought that, even at our Bible study on Sunday, people thought that was some sort of mythological creature that I was making up. No, narwhal is a whale. It is a horned whale. It has one horn that's coming out the end of its nose. And the narwhal,
it's even a cartoon sometimes. Actually.
Yeah, sometimes you can.
But I always thought it was like a mythical creature even in the cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. But it is real, and what I've been told, the Greek in narwhal means one horn. So if somebody writes a book or translates a book, and it's referring to a narwhal, and in the translation they say it's a narwhal, but they're referring to, because sometimes the narwhals have a slight mutation that gives them a second horn, and I find that interesting. You can go ahead and chat. I saw you reach up your keyboard and try to chat.
And then I realized it was Tanya.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, the thing is, sometimes the narwhals do have a mutation that gives them a secondary horn, so they have two of them instead. So if a book says narwhal, and it's referring to a two-horned narwhal, does that mean the book's wrong? No. That's ridiculous. That doesn't mean the book's wrong. That just means it's referring to the narwhal. It's just the second horn is simply a slight variation. That's all it means, and that's exactly what's happening here with the King James.
It's kind of like differences in elephants. There's still an elephant, but we have the Asian elephant, and then the other elephant, the smaller ears as opposed to the bigger ears.
Yeah, and that's absolutely correct. African elephant. Okay, but that's exactly, you're right, absolutely right. That's exactly what it's referring to, and all it's doing is giving a general title. When the Bible mentions eagle, it doesn't mean all the types. It may mean all the eagles generally. It could mean one specific type, but here this specific description is the only one where it's referring to the two-horned rhinoceros.
Yes.
And all the time it just means unicorn. So and I don't see why so many creation websites need to start slamming on, saying, well, the King James has this translation error in it, when that's absolutely not true. They wrote exactly what they meant to say. So Lorraine seemed like she was getting excited, like we have a question in there. And well, go ahead and talk about it. We don't have that many right now.
So. Okay. Well, Andy from Indianapolis,
Hi,
thank
Andy.
you for your question.
Yeah, and Andy, I've seen you on and replying to some of the stuff, and I really appreciate your participation in our Facebook page. It's always a delight to hear from you. So.
Well, he is actually teaching his Bible Sunday school class, and he's using the Answers in Genesis curriculum.
Oh, from Ken Hims.
Yes.
Okay.
And so he's wondering, do you have any advice, do's or don'ts, for teaching creation to middle school age?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Do's or don'ts on how to teach it. I don't know that there is. Do's or don'ts. It depends on what you're talking about. Like when people say creation in general, a lot of people put in not just young Earth creationism, they put in old Earth creationism, and some of the progressive creation that people like Hugh Ross and his Reasons to Believe that they teach. Those are not good ministries to
I'd
teach
say
from.
probably the biggest thing to worry about is old Earth creationism versus young Earth creationism,
and trying to
basing it off the Bible.
Yeah, you're right, and trying to because the thing is, the old Earth creationist says that it is based off the Bible, and that's not true at all. And basically, as long as, in my opinion, as it's young Earth creationism, I don't know that there are any do's or don'ts. I'm just happy that somebody is doing it. The very fact that you say that you are teaching it in a Bible study is
great.
Awesome, because we don't have near enough people doing that. It's so rare to hear of Sunday school teachers anymore teaching from creation curriculum.
My philosophy in general, I guess you could say, is to like prove what you say. I mean, that was drilled into me in English class, when we were writing essays and stuff. Prove what you say. So if you're going to talk to your kids about something, have something to back it up, which I'm sure you do. But
and 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says to prove all things and hold fast that which is good. So the don'ts, I guess, would be, I would be very cautious of any old Earth creationism. Me particularly, that would be, well, I'm wondering how deep we're going to get into this, because then you could also get into Bible versions. Because there are many New Age versions of the Bible out there that actually support the old Earth arguments, and that can be a problem for some people. So
side note just came to me. Probably one of the biggest issues is going to be like in the kids' science classes in school. How are they going to deal with their teachers and stuff when evolution comes up? Rather than them not answering the questions and letting their grades suffer. It's been recommended to us, and people have told us of what they've done. As to where they'll say, well, this is what you want to, this is the answer you want to hear, but here's the truth. You kind of do like a compound sentence.
Because he did say it's like junior high, didn't he?
A middle school. So,
middle school.
They're gonna have this short answer questions and stuff like that on their tests. So that would be a good way for them to respond and not let their grades suffer.
My school didn't have a middle school per se, so I was having a little difficulty understanding the age range. Okay, but
it's
with the
sixth grade generally.
Okay, so they're getting into an age where they're actually they're starting to think a lot on their own and develop that kind of stuff. So it's really good that.
Good. They're using the King James.
Oh, well, that's fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Perfect. Like I said, our position, and I want to make this clear to everyone on here, we don't try to drill King James into people. We're not trying to do that, okay? Because a lot of people,
they're 6, 7, and 8.
But our position is,
for me, it's 5th and 6th.
The Bible does say in Psalms chapter 12 that God was going to preserve His word for us, and I think that if He promises He's going to preserve His word and it's going to be perfect, His word will be perfect. We should have an English translation right now of the Bible. Of His perfect word. I think we do have that in the King James.
Yeah.
However, I just tell people, if you're reading other versions, that's perfectly fine. I don't, I'm not going to, bash you in the head because you're reading a different version. But I'm saying if you're going to be a true biblical scholar, I highly recommend you get King James. And that is because a lot of the New Age versions, they support the evolutionary agenda, especially in the footnotes and things like that. You should read some of them, like the Schofield Bible that even many of the preachers grew up on, supports evolution. And that I've referenced to in the past.
And one of the biggest problems is that the verses will actually be removed, where the meaning, because they'll change the words, the meanings are completely different for the different verses.
They even put day and night in quotations. It's not a literal day, it's not a literal night. Well, those things kind of support the evolution agenda. So that's why the Bible versions is almost an issue that has to come into this discussion between Old Earth and Young Earth. But as far as, when he's saying the do's and don'ts, we were covering some of the don'ts. Some of the things to do, from my experience, kids, like we talked about at the beginning, love dinosaurs.
They really do.
Hands down, there's nothing.
I love dinosaurs, so anyone
we all
loves
do.
dinosaurs.
And you should see her. As soon as I got into this subject, when we met, if you remember when we met and I was really starting to talk about this issue, she picked up every book she can find on mysterious creatures, sea creatures, everything. She loved all the big stuff. And a lot of people do get into that. One of the first presentations I ever did on dinosaurs, we had not just children, but adults. The adults were coming to us, and actually, do you remember that church we were at over in Columbus, where they actually were coming up to me afterwards and they saying, what was the reference for that? And they wanted to go look up the book. A lot of people are interested in this subject. Yeah, I get you excited.
Yeah.
But the children love this.
If you don't know the books, I'll go get them.
Do you remember, you weren't there, but we went to I want to say it's Crossroads Baptist Academy if I remember right, in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And you weren't there for that one, but I went to it. We had about 200 students there, and we had age ranges from 6 years old up to 18 in there. And I can tell here's the reaction we got from the teachers after we started. And like I said, that's on our Seminar 3 DVD that we have on our store that I just mentioned at the beginning. I gave that presentation to them, and the teacher said, yeah, the teacher said they couldn't teach anything else the entire day.
Yeah, everyone
that's all the students wanted to talk about was because they were like, there might be dinosaurs still alive today.
That's right.
And they got so excited about that.
That's awesome.
So a lot of times you can start off with the dinosaurs because that's exactly what the evolutionists do. I mean, take a look at the children's books. I mean, you can go to our website in the articles section, and you can read the dinosaurs in the Bible on there. There's a shorter article. I mean, the DVD is much more extensive.
Oh,
that's over an hour of material.
But the article is a good overview.
Yeah, the article can give you a lot of good references on that.
And we actually have
see
a book too that you can get if you want, to have something to hand out to people.
Yeah, and we have an evangelistic style book that's real cheap on
Dinosaurs in the Bible.
on our store. It's the truth about dinosaurs is what that says, and that's a little small carry around evangelistic tool that you can use to
stick in
people.
your pocket, sort of.
But the thing is, you'll see the very first thing that shows on there, and I've got some books that even my sister gave me from my nephews, who are between 8 and 9 years old at the time when they were reading these books, and flipping through. I mean, the first words of the page are millions of years ago, and they go off to teach that dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago. That's how the evolutionists are starting off. And to be honest with you, it's a really smart tactic.
Yeah.
You have to give Satan credit. He is a very brilliant tactician. He is a genius. And we have to be careful about how, what we do. But he is using that tactic. He's using God's creation, the dinosaurs, in order to lure the kids in to believe in evolution. And that's the bait on the hook right there. So something I always recommend people do with children, start, and not just, children depending on how you define children, but the early teens like that, start teaching them about dinosaurs. And if you need any kind of references or books you can get on the subject or things like that, you want to do more research or prepare your own lesson plans or things like that, just go ahead and send me an email. My personal email address on the website, it's chris@creationliberty.com. You can send me an email and I will send you references over that. So that's kind of that's kind of a general question. That's a general overview answer. You'd have to ask something more specific, I guess, to know, because I don't want to open up a can of worms to 50 topics when we only have 10 minutes left, I guess. So, what else we got? We have anything else, Lorraine? She's focusing.
Tanya mentioned our lies in the textbooks article, and I was telling her that's Seminar 4 if somebody wants to.
Yeah, that's Seminar 4. We don't have an actual article on that. But
we don't?
Basically, no.
Oh, okay.
But if you go, like the Big Dud Theory article, you can look at that. You can look at the Incredible Edible DNA, that article. I mean, there's quite a few articles we have on there over the science issues. It's under the science category, actually. And you look in there, I have or basically it's scanned pages. You can see directly from the textbook what they're teaching. And this is my whole purpose in making, because if you remember why we made the booklets, why we made the articles, why we put this stuff on there the way we did.
So anyone can get the information and take it with them.
And you can have the references right there. Like, for example, a lot of websites, when they post these articles with the information, like with the references, you'll see a little number. You have to click on the number, go down, look at that, then click at the thing, go back up. We didn't design ours that way. We designed it with the reference right directly under the statement. So that way you can copy and paste it right into an email. You can copy and paste it right into Facebook or YouTube or anywhere else you're at. And that way you can have the credible references right there on the spot. And I think Christians ought to be doing that. We ought to be getting the highest standards for education that we possibly can. And that's what we design these for. So if you want to see some of the what the textbooks are actually teaching, for example, what Andy's what his students are learning, his Bible study students are learning in their schools. There's excellent examples in there, and there's excellent examples in all our seminars. We have seminars 1 through 3, especially number 1 has a lot of good ones in there too. We have those available on DVD as well. So those are also excellent teaching tools if we can be of assistance. But if you want more and you want me to give you some other specific references, I'll be happy to provide those. If you just shoot me an email.
Yeah, if you ever have any questions, feel free to email us. Andy says that they're going over the universe and Earth stuff in there. So I'm sure you guys are probably going over Genesis. We just finished Genesis ourselves, and it was great to get all the days and everything solidified.
And we've spent how many months just on Genesis?
2 to 3.
We spent many weeks just on Genesis chapter 1 because there's a lot.
There's so much information.
Yeah, but our seminar 1, and like we said, you can, I mean, if you can't, people that cannot afford our DVDs, you can watch our seminars for free on our website. I mean, they're older versions, like some of the things that we have,
dinosaurs, they call them dinosaurs and evolution too on the curriculum.
Oh, that's fantastic.
General
and you see, I'm not.
Well, one of my pet peeves about Answers in Genesis is that they're very vague. I feel our stuff, well, Chris's stuff is more specific, and getting kind of some of the nitty gritty sort of things. Like, I don't know, that's just me. But
Well,
their curriculum stuff may be different than,
They have some specific stuff. I know they do, but generally, like for example, like their
I'm probably
museum.
just taking that from the museum.
Yeah, like the museum, it's very vague. It's not really.
Is.
Yeah, they're very specific when it comes to the salvation message at the end of the tour. If you remember that, like they have that 20-minute video, which is fantastic. If you haven't been to the Creation Museum and seen that, that's really fantastic. And it's wonderful to go to see like the animatronic raptors and things like that. We love that kind of stuff. But they are generally vague, and a lot of their information, I mean, Ken Ham, I've heard is a good speaker. Unfortunately, I know people are going to think I'm crazy to say this. Ken Ham is probably the creation speaker I am least familiar with over all of them. And he's like the big guy. And that's what's so weird about it.
Big and monetary.
But I think part of, they have a very large business, that's for sure. But at the same time, I think mostly, and that might be because his material, like most creationists offer their something on their site available for free that you can watch. See some of their seminars on YouTube. Ken Ham is one of the people that you can't hardly see anything that he's got without paying them for it.
Yeah.
And even they'll have their creation weekends, like their big creation events. And I can list you off certain ministries, all over the United States that will have them for free for people to come into it real cheap. I mean, your family can pay easily $200 just in tickets to come to an event for Answers in Genesis. And it's not that they have a bad ministry. It's that, that's why they're international, is because
they have the funding to be international.
Yeah, they have the funding for that. So that's and that's something that it's not against, because the Bible does say money answereth all things, and we're not saying that's bad at all. We're just saying we decided to take a different approach.
And Chris says we're right. They're pretty vague, but everything leads to more questions, which I like, and they get to talking about the subjects.
So that's why.
It's supposed to be a summer-long program, but they're only on week 4.
Yeah. Well, that's why.
Which we understand. We get to talking so much in our Bible studies, we don't get through as much as we would
Exactly,
normally.
and that's why, I mean, in the future, we do have plans to actually make school curriculum from our seminars.
Yeah, little dream of ours.
But like right now, we're really small. We're just starting out, so it's kind of difficult to do everything by ourselves. And
if you want to volunteer,
that's
give
why,
us a call.
That's why, I mean, there are some things that Answers in Genesis in our ministry we would totally disagree on, and I can tell you, we won't get into it right now because we don't have time today, but Answers in Genesis would definitely not support anything that we produce based on a couple things. And they're small things.
Yeah, it's really sad how different creation ministries especially will be so adverse to working together because they don't agree on absolutely everything.
Yeah, and I don't if you and I agree on everything, one of us is unnecessary.
Very true.
Right. So we're going to be here. We're going to disagree with each other, and it's going to happen. But we're agreeing. See, what Answers in Genesis doesn't realize, and I think they haven't learned yet to eat the meat and spit out the bones. They need to realize that we are on the same page concerning Christ. We're on the same page concerning young earth creationism, that God did create the world. Now how, and he went about that in the different details. Okay, as long as we agree on Exodus 20:11, that states that God said he made it in 6 days, he rested the 7th day. If we can agree on that, then we shouldn't have too much problem. I mean, we can disagree on little things, on how, about the creation model in general.
Agree to disagree, and
but at the same
put the
time,
greater, stuff forward.
And we could have done the same thing Answers in Genesis had done, where we made it very generalized like that. But the reason I decided not to is there's so many creation ministries out there like that has the general information. We wanted to get really specific and really detailed. Our ministry is designed.
For people who really want to study down the information and
Yeah, our ministry is designed, we want to raise up warriors. We want to raise up more evangelists to go out because we need a lot of people spreading this creation message. So in general, I wanted to say to Andy, I really, I guess I don't want to say appreciate, because appreciation, I guess, would come from the Lord. I don't know, but I really appreciate people like you that are out there doing that, because a lot of people sometimes think that because we're out here, that we're going into different churches and we're running and evangelizing, that our job is somehow more important than someone like Andy's job. But I disagree totally. I think even a person that, if all they do is try to like send money to missionaries or do things like that, that is just important as the missionary job, because the missionaries can't do it by themselves, right? And that's part of the the problem I see sometimes, where people see that their roles are less important. Not at all. Andy's role is just as important as our role, and we all have to work together as the body of Christ. So any last comments that we wanted to make here?
He was asking if we knew of any other DVDs that would cover like dinosaurs of creation and evolution. I was just telling him that our DVD, I know I'm selling our stuff,
hey.
But
well, it's our ministry. We can.
Honestly, I think that Chris does a wonderful job at reaching basically almost every age group. Only little kids aren't really going to be able to grasp the information, but there's a lot of humor. There's a lot, a lot of information, but it's something you can watch several times. I've watched his presentation so many times, but I always learn something new each time, and so it's really good, and I recommend our DVDs. I really do.
Well, there's not a church that we have been to. If you remember, there's not a church we've been to where we have not gotten an amazing response. But here's I guess the problem I have to say with that is that we've had a huge reation where everybody gets excited.
Yeah,
but then we never
happens.
We never hear from them again. I'm like, wait a second,
Oh, that was fantastic. Do you have what's the next one or whatever? And then either the church doesn't invite us back, or we don't hear from anybody from the church or anything like that. And so it's a little disappointing and frustrating, but we're hoping to pick things up, and we're hoping that
we're praying about it,
this podcast will help.
Yeah, we're praying about it, and this podcast is a way that we can get out and get a message out to people, and it's a way that we can still speak to people. We do have a few small speaking engagements up here in the next few months, but we're pretty much open at this point.
Yeah.
So we really want to do this.
Where that's located. To also answer your question, Kent Hovind's ministry also does really good at supplying grade school and kids information and material.
Creation science evangelism is another good one. But listen, I could list you off. Carl Ball's ministry does real good.
That's more adult stuff, though. They don't have kid things, do they?
Well, I don't know. We'd have to check on that. Okay. I'm pretty sure he does.
Well, I mentioned Kent's because
if you'll let me go ahead and list off some people.
Sorry.
That's all right. We're going to list off the people. You've got it depends on what research you're doing, but you've got like Dr. Carl Ball. Of course, you got Dr. Bruce Malone. Bruce Malone does a real great job.
Yes.
Jay Weil.
We have Bruce's stuff for sale on our website too, don't we?
Not yet. We're going to very soon. We're going to have some of Bruce's stuff.
He has a couple excellent books.
He's a good friend of ours. And then Jay Weil. Yeah. Jay Weil also he actually does homeschool books. We have a couple of his science homeschool textbooks upstairs, which are fantastic. It's excellent material. But I guess that's about where we'll stop it today, because we could keep going on some more stuff, but we just wanted to start off doing a half hour, make a couple announcements. One, we just wanted to start off doing a half hour. We can extend this to an hour or 2 hours later if you want to.
Yeah, if we get feedback and people want to participate.
Yeah, I said, I didn't want to advertise this to the huge atheist crowd yet, because we wanted to get things under control first before we had people come in, because some of you guys can know how it can be really difficult to manage an atheist crowd sometimes, because when you have no justification for morality, the end justifies the means. So you have to have really sharp admins. You got to be on point on things, and we're going to have tons of comments bouncing back and forth. So this week we're going to go ahead and advertise this on YouTube, and you might see an overwhelming outpour of atheists possibly on the next podcast. So that's what we're going to be doing in the future. And one more thing I want to mention, that we're going to be adding in Skype in the future. I'm not sure how many weeks in the future we'll be doing that, but we will be able to take live calls from different people. And I wanted to also give a shout out real quick before I forget to, was it Rich Mon? Am I saying that right?
I believe so.
Rich Mon. He is joining us all the way from China. and he got up real early in the morning to get onto this podcast. So we really appreciate him being with us. And actually, I think it'd be interesting to have Rich on as one of our first people if we could get him on Skype, depending on the connection, to interview him and ask him what's happening over there in China.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that is a place where you cannot be a softball Christian. You
No.
need to be on the front lines, and he's where it's at. So we'd love to have an interview with him sometime, and we'll contact him with that. But in the future, we'll have little mini debates with atheists and all that. And of course, the next speaking engagement we have scheduled is in September. And this is it September? This is 9th. That's right. It starts at 10 a.m. It's in Mooresville, Indiana, and you can check that out. It's at Harvest House International Church. You can check out the web address. That's on our schedule page. Excuse me. If you go onto our links on schedule page, you can see the physical address where that's located and get Pastor Jim Parsons' phone number. He's another good friend of ours that we're actually going to be having lunch with here in a couple weeks. So we're looking forward to that. So anyway, I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to say before we
No, thanks for coming out, everybody.
Yeah, it was nice having you all, and hopefully we'll have a bigger crowd next week.
Every other week or every week?
Every week right now. I'd like to do this every Monday at 7, so you can join us again next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's it. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us.